All right, hockey fans, this is Coach Andrew Trimble with the New England Wolves and my Scoring Concepts hockey training program. Launching a new podcast today called Snapshots. Snapshots is going to be about hockey development. It's going to provide insights every single week that can help you develop your game and become a better player through this podcast. And also, if you're coaching, it'll give you some helpful information that you can use with your players, your families, your organization, and your athletes. As I mentioned before, my name is Andrew Trimble. I'm a 46-year-old coach from Manasquan, New Jersey, who currently lives in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. I'm the co-owner with Tim Kuhns of the New England Wolves, and I'm the owner of Scoring Concepts. Now, Scoring Concepts has a lot of different facets to it. It's a summer camp and clinic business. We used to operate some teams. I've kind of cut back on that as I'm more focused on some other content. And then also we have our own Substack, which a lot of people subscribe to. I've got over 300 subscribers currently. I've written a couple books, which you can get on Amazon. And I've launched the AI Hockey Advisor. It's a website that you can go to as a player or coach and get feedback on your game. It's a really cool place. And I'm really excited about it because, I've been using these different apps for things that are going on in my everyday life, and getting feedback from an AI has been super helpful. So, and it's available 24/7. So to get that kind of feedback immediately, and instead of waiting for a response, is really helpful. And it's unbiased, and it's comes at a very minimal cost. So I really enjoy my AI interactions I've had in this early going with the AI world. And I want to expose it to hockey players. So make sure you check that out, and you'll grow from it for sure. Now, Snapshots. Snapshots is going to be a 15, 20-minute podcast at most. It's going to have a specific topic each week that's going to guide you through your hockey journey a little bit. Our first week is why most hockey players, or many hockey players, I should say, are playing at the wrong level. If you're not improving in hockey, there's a good chance it's not your effort. It could just be your environment. And that's something we want to talk about today, something that's going to be very important for you as you navigate for your child on your hockey journey. And as your child gets older, as they start to see things for themselves within their hockey journey that can either hurt them or help them. And playing at the right level is oftentimes the biggest differentiator between gaining confidence, losing confidence, growing your game, and then getting to the next level. So the problem is players chasing levels, parents chasing logos, confidence versus development. I've seen this a lot. Now our New England Wolves program has all the way from 8U all the way up to our NCDC junior team, Tier 2 junior hockey here in the United States. We oftentimes used to run an academy program from about 2018 to, I'm going to say right after COVID, about 2022, 23, we had a academy program where we brought in kids from all over the world, and they trained and developed right here in the Lakes region, lived with billets, and we provided them a ton of ice time. That was really early on in the academy model, which has become really big all across the United States. It was a AAA program. We were in the top 100, at times even higher than that. But the biggest thing I found was it was very difficult to find the right opponents that both satisfied parents and the players. If we won a game 11-0, the competition's too easy. If I lost a game 5-1, this isn't real AAA. We're getting smoked by these AAA teams. So real development isn't really about the scoreboard. Real development is the format and structure that your program operates. Oftentimes we see AAA programs marketed here in the United States, and they're just running 2 to 3 practices a week, a little bit of off ice, but they play great schedules. And oftentimes they have good players, which make them a AAA level. However, sometimes when you have only that amount of ice time and you don't have the same players that could bring you that kind of production, you're labeled as a AAA, but you're really competing on a more local level. So it's important to weigh the cost-benefit analysis. Am I playing AAA for the logo, or am I playing AAA for the program, for the opportunity to advance my son's skills or daughter skills within the game. Um, I have a wonderful family, both my immediate family, but also my extended family. I have two sisters. They both live in New Jersey. I'm not sure if they're going to listen to this, but it's all good. My middle sister, I'm the youngest of three. My middle sister, Jill Kakamis, has a great son, Colton. He comes up every summer, does my hockey camps. I love Colton to pieces. He's a nice little player. He's 11 years old. And he's a kid who's got a great basis of hockey. He's got good feet. He likes to shoot, good shooter, plays hard, like he really wants the puck. So there's a lot of good things with Colton where he can grow and develop his game and build off these natural assets. In the last couple of years, he's played at a triple A level, but one of the biggest things with that level when you're dealing with squirt triple A is depth and position that is specifically suffering can really detrimentally impact the team. You know, if you're playing junior hockey and your goaltender's got an 88 save percentage compared to a 92 save percentage or a 90 save percentage, you can still finish 500. You can still win some games with that goalie with the 88 save percentage. But you don't often see that at the squirt level. You see a lot of 60 save percentages. Rarely do you see a 90 save percentage. So if you have a kid who's competing at the 9 out of 10 shots they save, the ones they should save, they save, and their goaltender might be a little bit weaker. He's only stopping 7 out of 10. Well, now you're going to have some lopsided scores when it's 20 shots per team. Similarly, if you have one good line and your other lines go on the ice and get really struggle at that level, now all of a sudden you're looking at seasons that are lopsided in terms of the win-loss record. And that's what Colton's faced in an early part of his hockey journey. He had some lopsided scores. He's developed and he still loves the game. But this next season, he's going to be playing double-A hockey because he wanted to take a step back. His mom and dad thought it'd be good for him to go out and have fun, have a successful season, and just have a place where he can gain some confidence, be on a winning team in a winning environment. And I think it's the best course of action they could ever take. It'd be really tough to say, like, I'm chasing that AAA level, have another season where he's 5-40 or something like that, or really lopsided win-loss percentage, and then get up out of bed and be excited about hockey the next season. Plus, he's a kid who, at that age, he shouldn't be practicing hockey 5 days a week, 10 months out of the year. He should be practicing, in my opinion, 2 to 3 days a week, doing his games on the weekend, and then also partaking in the other sports, which he really enjoys. He's playing football. He loves baseball, and those are great for him. So he needs to continue to do that. So if you're playing in a survival mode where the level is too high and you're getting down on yourself, you're not gaining confidence, well, holy smokes, that's going to be a recipe for disaster. You want your kid, the winning kids, the kids that make it, love the game and continue to play, whether they're 10, 11, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, you still have to love the game throughout. And you do love the game by seeing your skills grow, building relationships, having success. Kids like things that they're good at. So if you're not having success, you're not going to like those things quite as much as you could. So those are important things to think about. Now, if the level's too low, that's also another problem because you don't grow, you're not pushed. That's something to think about when you're weighing what teams you're choosing for the upcoming season. The sweet spot. The sweet spot is that level where you can still be a top player and gain quality ice time in good situations, like on the power play and the penalty kill, end of game, things like that. But where you're not just completely dominating and you have to earn it. Those are great spots. My son is very much like a couple other kids in our Wolves program this past season who came to us from other programs. Barron, my son, he played for the Seacoast Spartans for 2 years. Great program. But I found as we got into January and February, a different reason was hurting his game. And it wasn't anything to do with the Seacoast Spartans. It just happened to be their location. And driving an hour and 15 to the rink and from the rink for 4 months, as the calendar turns into the new year and it starts to get cold and it starts to get dark and it starts to get snowy here in New Hampshire, he really found that Ugh, Dad, I don't want to go to practice. And I get it, buddy. That's almost 3 hours we're subtracting out of your day where you can't play with your friends, you can't do your schoolwork, you can't get to bed early, you can't eat. Um, well, you can't eat healthy meals. Of course, I'm responsible for that. But it was a different dynamic when he was in that car for 3 hours round trip compared to 10 minutes to the rink, 10 minutes back. So those are a lot of different ideas which you have to weigh when you're making a decision about where your kids are going to play and what is the right or wrong level. The 10,000 hour rule. This was in Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers. I believe it was in Outliers, but it might have been in a different one. But either way, Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorite authors, and he talked about the 10,000 hour rule. The 10,000 hour rule is the idea of deliberate practice on a specific task for a lengthy period of time, usually around 10,000 hours, that can create a special skill and which makes you an expert in that skill. He referenced the Beatles. Everybody's heard of John, Paul, George, and Ringo. And they traveled over 1,200 times from 1960 to 1964 to Germany. I believe it was Hamburg, Germany, in which they played live in front of an audience and developed their craft. And you don't do that when you're sitting in a car. You don't do that when you're traveling to another tournament in north of the border. You do that on the street, in the backyard, in the gym, practice, open ice, on the pond. Those are the places where you can make tremendous gains in your development. So don't neglect those open ice experiences, that opportunity for your kid to develop through independence rather than chasing the elite tournament, the exposure showcase. Those are recipes for really tough experiences in the game of hockey and oftentimes burnout, which is a real thing. Now, American-born hockey player. I was raised in Manasquan, New Jersey, not too far, about an hour from New York City. One of America's greatest hockey players. Didn't really play hockey until he was about 10 years old. He won a number of cups. He was a 50-goal scorer in the NHL, over 1,000 points. And for a long period of time, he was the highest-born scoring American. We tend to forget him now because there were so many high scorers in the 1980s that, the little engine that could, Joe Mullen, is oftentimes overlooked. But Joe Mullen was born in Hell's Kitchen in New York City in 1957. When he was 10, he started skating, but he played mostly roller hockey growing up. Developed amazing puck skills, was a shoot-first type player. So he knew how to get open, find spots on the ice, and he really developed that by independent training. When he was 14, he played in the Metropolitan Junior Hockey League, which, ironically, my grandfather, Dick Trimble, was involved in creating that league, along with Emile Francis and another number of people. And Joe Mullen was a great player, but he took an unorthodox route to becoming an elite player. And he just had to find the right level. When he was having fun, he was developing. And then when he needed to be pushed in a different environment, he played junior hockey. And then he played further. And then he played further. And that's how you, building block approach, one ladder at a time, continue to develop your game on an easy structured path. Ed Jovanovski is another one. Ed Jovanovski was the number one pick in the draft, I believe, in 1992 or maybe 4. I don't know. But early 90s, he was the number one overall pick in the draft. And he didn't actually play organized hockey until he was 11 years old. Played 1,000 games in the NHL. Nobody told him when he was 7, you can't play because at this age, if you want to play pro, you got to be playing AAA. No, he was a kid. He grew. He developed. He developed overall athletic skills and abilities. And then he became a top pick in the NHL and a number one defenseman for a long period of time in that league. So it's important. As the adult in the room, parents, we pick the level. Your kid may want certain things, but you have to take the initiative to say, this is the level we need to be at. This fits our family budget. This fits our family schedule. If you do this, you won't be able to play football. You won't be able to play basketball. You won't be able to play soccer, lacrosse, whatever it may be. And becoming a well-rounded athlete is the key. It's the missing ingredient. It's the secret sauce to developing hockey. So look at your situation. Take an honest evaluation of where your child is at. Don't chase the letters. Don't chase the program, which may be 2 hours away and you got to drive all over for and make all these unnecessary changes to your family life. Make your decisions based upon the development for your athlete, not status. That's super important. If you look at a guy like Pavel Datsuk, 1998, 21 of the 27 players chosen in the first round played in the CHL, the Western Hockey League, Ontario League, or the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Pavel Datsuk never played a minute in the CHL, but if they did the draft over, he'd be number one. He played in the small Russian league. He was a small player for his size, but that really helped him develop his game. He was an unbelievable puck handler, was a 200-foot player. And although he was picked in the 6th round, that kind of talent shone through and shone brightest, even though he had small stature. So if your kid's got what it takes, if your kid's that player, there's nothing that's going to hold him back. If he keeps working, developing, is in a good situation where he's getting good coaching, if he can be a kid and rest and not get burnt out from the game, if he can be with some of his friends and develop those relationships early on. When you get to 13, 14, 15, just like we saw with Joe Mullen, that's kind of the time to start making broader decisions and things that could more impact his daily life, like a school change or things like that. But right now, when he's pre-puberty age, let him be a kid. Let him have fun. Let him develop confidence. That confidence will carry him so much further in the long run by being a believer in his own game rather than a person who's just trying to survive out there. Thanks for listening today. I want to implore you to go check out any of my books on Amazon. You look up Andrew Trimble and you can see The Hockey Planner. You can see Why Players Don't Develop, and even a new one coming out in the next couple weeks. My YouTube channel has a ton of information which can help you train and develop and build your game, especially tons of drills. I'm also on the coach's site with over 60 drills on that interface. And then my Substack. My Substack is a great place. You can get free content or paid for content, which is a little bit higher peak, but certainly won't impact your wallet too much. And my newest venture, www.aihockeyadvisor.com. I want to thank you for tuning in today. I'm going to have episodes like this dropping midweek, every single week going forward. I thank you for your time and enjoy the game.